Welcome back, Truth Seeker.
Yeah, I kind of wish all the people that used to be good supporters that have turned into mega haters.
I always knew you was a hater.
If you guys go to like that, if you guys know the #1 troll I have, his whole channel is dedicated to trolling me. If you look in his comments, you're like, oh my god, all the people that used to hang out on this channel and leave helpful comments, they're all over there hating now. It's just like, what happened to all these people? You know? Somebody warned me that there was a woman that was hanging around this community, and they said that they thought that she was some kind of agent, some kind of instigator. And I know that a lot of the people that used to be good supporters are like people that she got their phone numbers and started communicating with them. But anyway, it seems like she did a number, because everyone that she was instigating with seems to all be hanging out on that page now talking, and it's just like, God, it is sad.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah, so anyway, it's just like, God, man, it's just, what are you gonna do? All right, well, I'm glad all of you are still here, and they didn't turn you against me also, so.
Not yet, anyway.
All right, so it's come to my attention in recent times that a lot of who were once great supporters and contributors to the community, I mean, they have become absolute haters.
You hater!
Even trolling the work, filling up the comment section of the biggest trolls I got, and it's amazing to me. It's just like, what happened to these people? Like, why did they turn against me? And again, it's happened in recent times. I think a lot of it has to do with just the psychology of what's happened to a lot of people in the time of the pandemic, you know, being locked down, being cut off, you know, being isolated. But, yeah, I'm just shocked by some of the people who've become huge haters.
Hater!
Again, I mean, I've stayed consistent. I've been doing the same work with the same love it or hate it personality. And like I've said, I mean, I can understand why people don't like me, but for people who supported the work to then turn, it's like, what caused them to turn, especially in the last year? I mean, in the last year, I feel like, I don't know, the last year, a lot of people have definitely fallen off. There's way less support for the work, and I'm thinking, why is there so much less support this year? Why are so many people turning against me this year? I mean, in the last year, I feel like I should have got more respect from the community. I mean, it's not easy to drive across the nation back and forth and pound pavement and try to bring people together. And I was expecting to see some of these people come out, because I know that they're in the cities and they didn't show up. And I'm like, oh, no wonder they didn't show up. They're now haters.
No love for the haters.
Yeah, I was reading one person's comment, and it was just blowing my mind. I was like, wow, they really did get persuaded by the trolls and the agents and the instigators. So yeah, I think I would like to do a live stream later, because I know these people are out there watching and they'll see this stream, but I would like to do a live stream later and just have these people who know who they are call in and explain why they become so bitter and so sour and are out spreading so much hate against me.
They're at it again. They're at it again. You see? Spreading hatred. Hatred. Hatred and lies. Citizens of the world, don't listen to them. Come back. Come on, come back. Come back to me. Don't go away. Don't go away. Come on. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come back.
experiencing technical difficulties.
You know, it's just like, again, I don't think it's my fault. I think it's like I said. I think the time of the COVID has taken a toll on a lot of people's psychology, and people are just looking for somebody to blame. It's unfortunate though, because it's just, I mean, there's never been a greater time for unity in the community that is us who care about what's actually going on in the world, people who are actually trying to do something about it. So yeah, just to lose all, and it sucks because the people I'm talking about, some of them have been the best contributors over the years, and the best researchers and the best callers. Yeah, I don't know. So, some of the people that have turned, I'm a little bit baffled by. So it's like somehow the support goes down each week. So you have to think about how frustrating that is. And I mean, you know, one of the guys who used to be a good supporter and who went away for a while because he got burned out, and then he came back, and now he's online hating. It's like, I want you to take a look at the mirror and remember who you are. You're the guy who gets burned out and worn out and you know, dragged down. I'm the guy who's never quit. I'm the guy who's been here for every single day. So, and again, you know, that he's a young guy, and I've been super supportive of him. I'm not even going to say who his name is because he'll probably still end up coming back around. But it's just sad to read the comments he's putting out there right now. And, yeah, it's frustrating, you guys. But I'll also say this. Something that I know about this world is you can't really rely on other people. It's hard to find reliable people. There's not many people in this world that you can rely on. And, you know, it's just like reading the people who are trashing me. It's like all I ever did for these people was nice things and said nice things about them and built them up. And then for them to be online slandering me, it's just like last year. I had a guy, he was mad that I didn't take his advice early on that the Rams were going to win the Super Bowl. And it wasn't so bad because by the time the game rolled around, I told people you better take the Bengals with the points because it's going to be a 3-point game and watch Odell Beckham score the first touchdown, which paid 9-1. So it's not like we did that bad, but even the day the Rams won it, I still was on the fence about them winning. If you're on Patreon and you watched the last live stream we did find some good narratives why the Rams could win.
You believe this fucking guy?
Yeah, and then again, you do see why there's the nonstop trolling every single day, and you see how the trolls are clever. They try to go after and target the people who are helpful in the community and constantly sending them messages and trying to start drama, and it works, you know. It works for some people, so. But yeah, I really would like all the people who are so busy, and it's just a joke that you guys are on that guy's channel.
You gonna cry now?
And it's just a joke that you guys are on that guy's channel talking all this shit and encouraging him. That guy is like literally the biggest scumbag.
Ironic.
As soon as Super Bowl 56 was over, he put up a video right away saying, "Ooh, Zach cost people a bunch of money," which is totally false. I mean, anyone who took my advice before the game was played won.
You fucking believe this shit?
I said it's smart to take the Bengals, who were a 4-point underdog. We said it was going to be a 3-point game, which we were dead on about. But yeah, again, I mean, that guy is just a total loser and troll. Didn't lose anybody any money on Super Bowl 56. People should have made a bundle of money. Oh. Odell Beckham did score the first touchdown like I predicted, which paid 9-1. And if you took the Bengals with the points, that was the best possible payout. To mention, we've nailed the Super Bowl every single year, and that was the worst Super Bowl outcome I've had in all the years I've been doing it. So, again, that guy's just a goon and constantly putting out false information that goes against the actual truth. So to see people just like piling into his comments that used to be good supporters now supporting him, it's really gross. And not to mention the guy probably is a Fed.
Sex repellents people lather themselves with. And then you can protect your head from the sun so you don't get...
See how fast I did that? Folks, I'm an expert. Every day when I leave work, I do this.
Who sits around and screen records every single video and then just tries to pick out things to make me look bad? I mean, that's total politics. But yeah, all these people that are in there, just realize that guy never did anything for you in your life to help you in any way. Meanwhile, you know, the only people who aren't winning off my knowledge are people who aren't using it. Again, I mean, look at the community. And it's funny, too. I put up the community post about the guy who said, I just joined your Patreon. I started with 50 a little more than a week ago, and I'm already up to 2,500 again.
Bullshit.
And that's par for the course. That's what a ton of people have done in the community. And for all of you guys who still don't participate and help build up your bank account and make excuses about why you can't come out and pound payment because you don't have any money, I don't know what to say to you, you know? Excuses. It's so annoying. I mean, do you guys know how annoying it is to be trolled every single day? That's why most people quit online and they give up, you know, because they can't deal with it. I don't know if there's anyone in the history of the internet who's more trolled than I am, more censored, more trolled, and then just, you know, people in the community. It's just, I don't know. For good people to start joining in with the chorus of the trolls, it's really pathetic. I start to wonder, because one of the young guys, you know, his dad has a big shot job with one of the pharmacy companies. I don't know if finally, like, his dad got into his head or what, but yeah. And there was a woman who came around who, again, people kept telling me that she was trying to pretend like she was my friend, but putting stuff in everybody's ear behind the scenes. And I just don't even want to get caught up in all the drama. But I do realize that, you know, a lot of the people that she was in communication with are now the people that are over in the chorus of trolls. But yeah, you guys, again, the whole time I've been here, I've stayed out of the drama for the most part.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
The only thing you could say that I've done is dramatic is when I respond to the other people who try to slander me online. But, you know, the drama that breaks out in the community, it's just, I'm not a drama person.
What a crock of shit.
But I would like to hear, again, from all these people who I would just say essentially are turncoats. Call in and explain why you became a turncoat. I want to know why all you guys became haters this year.
For Hater of the Year.
Yeah, a bunch of them are in the Northeast, too. They could have come out for the gatherings on 9/11, and they didn't show up, and instead they're now in the Big Trolls channel talking shit. It is sad. It is sad. And by the way, you guys, I'm going to tell you one other thing.
Here comes the best part.
Somebody said, how come your mom hasn't been in the comments the last week? Honestly, guys, the reason my mom hasn't been in the comments the last week is because I blocked her account. After TFR Wednesday, she called me up the next morning, and she's like, Zach, just because you have all these groupies that follow your gematria thing doesn't mean you're... I mean, I think my mom's bipolar and just undiagnosed. But I just get tired of that shit, too. I mean, she's in the stream on Wednesday night talking about, you know, like, good night, truth seekers. Then Thursday morning, she's calling you guys groupies. That's also a part of the reason I'm good at dealing with bullshit, because I've had to deal with my mom my whole life. But anyway, you're not going to see her in the comments anymore because, yeah, and that's what she doesn't really support the work, you guys. She talks about gematria like it's still this stupid thing, and your gematria, that's what she always says, your gematria. It's like, my gematria, yeah, okay. Not their gematria that we're exposing, so. I do like to block trolls, and I will even block my mom, who, like Sweet Lady will tell you, is the biggest troll I have, but... yeah, for any other trolls who want to call in, turncoats, you're more than welcome to.
We're calling today's show the Hater Hotline. We've tried this before, but we've given it a new name. Again, I just have so many dedicated critics. They're always there when a video posts, when a Twitter comment is made. More often than not, the very first reply is something, you know, that's, I guess there's no other way to put it. It came from a hater.
They're haters.
Exactly.
So anyway, I know you guys are out there, and I keep giving you an opportunity to call in and explain yourselves, while you always have to leave some cynical, sarcastic remark. But then when the phone line is open, you don't want to take the opportunity. So the Hater Hotline will be the standard phone number that we use. And again, also for all the former great supporters who have, you know, essentially become turncoats, I would love for you to call in too. The once supporters turned haters, I'd especially love to hear from you. And, you know, speaking of a great supporter who is apparently turned hater, I was thinking this guy was going to come out when I was in the Northeast, because he lives in the region. And I was like, I bet anything he's going to show up. And then he didn't. I thought, well, I guess he's busy. But then to find out he's become a hater, I'm just like, oh my goodness, he became a hater?
Don't mind him. He a hater.
But, yeah, I want to address Young Ben's comments, because Young Ben has been taken by the trolls and the agents and has sided with all the false stories. And it's just tragic, man, because Young Ben has been a great contributor to the work, and he's been somebody who's called me for advice in the past, and I've always given him good advice. And, you know, he's had trouble with getting along with his parents. I said, listen, you know, they're always going to be your parents. You know, sometimes you just got to bow down because they're your parents, especially while you live in the house. But yeah, I always gave this guy a lot of good advice, and always compliment him, and always said, listen, Ben, I mean, I'm no role model. You're already more mature than I am. I was always so nice to this young guy, and he was great for the community. And now he's a hater. I'm just like, what in the world?
Sound like a hater to me.
But yeah, here, let's read Young Ben's comments before we take any calls, because it'll kind of set the tone for the show. So, Young Ben is now frequenting the comments of who I assume is a federal agent, because all he's done for the last 7 years is troll me every single day and dox me and put out my address, and somehow seems to have access to, like, financial information and... He exaggerates everything, but this guy really creeps me out. But now Young Ben's in his comment section. He's writing things like this. He writes, if you don't give me $1 a month, then you ain't black. Zach, if you talk like Joe Biden, it's like...
See, these two, man. Come on, man. You know why they're laughing? Come on, man. Because they...
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
No, it's just like, man, this is what Ben is doing now. Again, I think Ben does know how important the work is. I've always said if more people supported the work, we could do a lot more things. And anyhow, to go on and read his larger... Oh, well, then somebody says, weren't you his boy? And then for this person right here, whose name is Kathy, the gematria with the 8s, Kathy was always a good supporter. And when my book came out, I sent her 50 free copies of the book because she said she'd help get copies to other people and make an interest. So, I mean...
And for the person out there who I'm talking about right now, notice the first person to reply to you, who was all supportive of you. And she's another person who I invested in and gave 100 free copies of my book to.
Kathy was always a good supporter. And when my book came out, I sent her 50 free copies of the book because she's...
Oh my God, he's making this up as he goes along.
What happened with Kathy, though, is she called me up one day and she said, hey, Zach, my husband's going to be hunting right by where you live. Would it be okay if I came at your house and stayed for a week? And for people who don't know, if you ever call me, if Sweet Lady's in the room, she's going to hear your call because I always speak on speakerphone. I don't put the phone next to my head. And Sweet Lady right away was like, nope, no woman's coming and staying here for a week. And I was like, yeah, sorry, Kathy, that's probably not going to work. And instantly after that, she became a mega hater, just trolling online and talking about what an asshole I am and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I mean, she was greatly offended that I told her no to staying at the house for a week. So that's, if anybody wonders what became this person's problem, it's that they invited themselves to my house. I said, sorry, it's probably not going to work out. And then that's all it took. And also a true story about Kathy, since she wants to talk shit. And you guys can ask Kathy herself, but she'll even tell you that her husband can't stand her and he makes her stay in the shed. So Kathy lives in the shed at her house. And that's probably an insight into who Kathy is.
Bullshit.
But anyway, then Ben follows up. As somebody who uses my name says something back to Ben. But then Ben writes this longer comment. He says, you could say that, and I assume he's responding to this right here about, weren't you his boy? He said, I did follow him for 6 years, and at certain times treated his information like it was the most important shit out there. I'd rewind his videos and listen to his information more than once to let it sink in, and sometimes I'd even take notes to reread them. It was enthralling for me as someone who's always been into numbers. I'm an accountant now. And who knew something was wrong with what we heard through the media and with history? I also did a lot of my own research applying the knowledge and would call into TFR with decodes, and he did. One of the best callers and decoders there ever was. I had some pretty big finds over the years. I'm the one who told him about Operation Amalgam Virgo, which is true, which he now brings up every time he talks about 9/11, which is also true because it was a great find. That was my biggest one. Well, you could argue that his biggest one was the Titanic. He did a great find on the Titanic too. But you could find my name on both of his blogs from time to time. He shouted me out. But a lot of shit went down this year with him, including shit that personally affected people I'm very close with that I met in this community and who I've met in person. Now, again, I don't want to get too much into drama, but you know that he met his Sweet Lady through this community. His Sweet Lady was a longtime caller. And then, again, she became friends with a woman who came out here to Yakima, who asked me to meet her for lunch and bring some free books and hoodies, and I gave her a bunch of free stuff. And then she really wanted to get some drinks, and I didn't really want to get any drinks, but she kept insisting, and I said, okay, fine, we can get some drinks. I already told her lunch was on me. And then she asked the bartender if they had a certain kind of, I think it was whiskey. I'm not a big alcohol person, but I didn't realize it was an expensive drink. And I do, in hindsight, remember that the waitress seemed kind of like impressed, like, oh yeah, I think we do have some of that. And I had no idea what we were drinking until the bill came, and the bill was over $400, and each shot was nearly $100, and there were 4 shots. So,
Bon appetit!
so I was like, wow, you got alcohol that costs that much a shot, and I didn't even want to drink in the middle of the afternoon? Oh, I thought bringing you all the free stuff was enough, man. I had to pay a $400 bar tab. So anyway, when I was in Buffalo earlier this year, the two of them called me up, and now the girlfriend was saying, you know, I think you need to call and apologize to this person because you've been ignoring their phone calls. And I said, well, the reason I ignore their phone calls is because they only call me at 11 p.m. and Sweet Lady's not going to like if I'm picking up the phone at 11 p.m. to talk to another woman when we're already in bed because we go to bed early. And also, I'm still kind of bitter about, I never made a fuss directly to him. I just paid the tab and gave a nice tip and was like, well, there goes $500 on lunch. Wasn't counting on that today. But, you know, I never made a fuss about it. But at the same time, I was like, well, I don't think I ever need to go out to lunch with that person again or really even have any contact with them, because I would never do that to somebody. Like, keep insisting to drink, and then finally when they drink, order $100 a shot alcohol. So anyway, when she called me up in Buffalo, she was like, you need to call and apologize to this person. And I essentially just said back to her, I said, well, I don't think I owe them an apology. And I explained to her, I said, you know, if she called at a time other than 11 p.m., I'd probably pick up the phone. And then she started screaming back at me.
But this all sounds like bullshit to me.
And then I was just like, all right, you two have a good night. And honestly, I've never talked to him since. But I wish the phone call was recorded, because you could hear that I wasn't in the wrong. I wasn't the one calling up and demanding an apology. I mean, it's just like, what? Anyway, so I'm pretty sure this is also what happened to young Ben. So he says, you know, he's personally affected people I'm very close with that I met in this community. Like, well, I don't really feel like I have any fault in anything that happened, but... feel like I got left with a big tab, and that's it. Anyway, so he writes, people have helped him out or at least offered to, who you wouldn't know due to their lack of YouTube presence. I won't get into details here, maybe a later date, but okay. I don't know how these people helped me out either, so I don't really understand that comment, because I don't know what they've done. I know that one of them did help put together a birthday video, which was nice, but that doesn't really help out the work or the research or the movement. But after experiencing that and then taking a closer listen to the stories of the All for Truth founders, okay, the All for Truth founders. First of all, I am the All for Truth founder.
Just so you know what's going on in All for Truth, I haven't really made this a public announcement because, to put it short, All for Truth has been hijacked by two flat earth pirates who are
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That is my favorite part right there. But how does one hijack their own website? How does one hijack a website that they, that Jeff and I have completely, built? Zach can't prove, any shred of intellectual contribution to All for Truth whatsoever.
And second of all, that was one of the most frustrating things that ever happened. For people who don't know that story, at the end of 2016, I put out a fundraiser together, and I said, let's raise $33,000 and use that $33,000 to build a really awesome website to bring the community together and host a rally in DC, the 33 city. I said, let's take their number and put it back on them to change the course of history. And $33,000 were not raised. There was probably almost $18,000 raised. And right away, I found a team of people to build the website, and an awesome website was built. And the agreement with the website builder was they would tell me the cost, and as more money was needed to build the website further and further, I would allocate more money. So when we were $12,000 into the project...
Bullshit.
Gentlemen who reached out and said they wanted to help with the mission and build the website and help me create the platform that I envisioned in October 2016. They built the website at a very efficient price, and every time they've asked for more money for upgrades, they've sent over invoices and receipts for what the work would be, and that money's always been provided.
So we'll talk about that for a second. You see how he uses words like every time they've needed money for the website, and that money's always been provided. It's very deceiving. It's deceptive language if you know the truth, if you're privy to the facts. And the facts are two payments came from Zachary to me, Aaron, to fund All for Truth, with donation money that he said would be going toward All for Truth.
And, you know, I'm patient. About 6 weeks ago, another request was made for another lump sum of $1,500.
And we have to be clear. Do you hear the language? He knows exactly how much was sent over. It's posted in All for Truth on the forums, exactly how much was sent over. So when he says another request was done, he's still talking about one of two payments. You have to know this. You have to understand this. So two payments. One for $987.92 was the first one on November 20th. The second was January 18th, $1,409.59. So we see that.
And again, the way it would work is they'd say, okay, we need this much money to do this component, and I'd keep sending them more money. So we were $12,000 in.
Bullshit.
Then they sent an email and they said, okay, we want you to send the remainder of the money that you've raised, and we will do whatever remaining projects we can with that. And it was the first time it was a vague request, because every time up to that they were saying, we need this amount of money to do this. And I'd say, okay, that seems agreeable, fine. But then all of a sudden they wanted all of the remaining money to do unspecified work. And I said, I'm not comfortable with that because I raised the money. And I said, even though you guys are doing a great job, I mean, I only know you so well.
And then recently the same two gentlemen asked if I would just give all of the money that had been donated, and I reminded them, I said, well...
Jeff, just go ahead and...
Yeah, that's a lie. I mean, what happened is that we wanted, like I said, from the beginning, we've been trying to make this a group effort with us three, and, you know, basically be the three musketeers and happy-go-lucky, everything is cool, and, you know, we're all trusting each other. At least that's the way that, you know, Aaron and I felt about it at first, you know, just because we're giving him the benefit of the doubt. We don't know him, you know, of course we got, you know, our skepticism about it, but, you know, long story short, we wanted to, you know, make some kind of account all together where we could access the funds, but also where we could all see together, you know, if anyone spent anything, and that way we
hold
could
each
all be
other accountable.
And, you know, hold ourselves accountable and all be responsible and whatever, man. And so he just kept kind of ignoring that, and, you know, we hadn't, it's the thing, you know, we hadn't made a big stink about all that, but as soon as he wants to start deleting members because they don't agree with him and they're calling him out on certain things, he wants to delete them and act like a baby. And you know, that's when all this problem started, you know. And honestly, what I honestly told him too, when he, you know, I was like, Zach, why don't you just keep, you know, a little bit over half the money, man. You keep it for yourself, for your book, and take yourself on a little book tour, whatever it is you want to do. Because I could just feel that he was wanting to keep this money, you know. And Aaron's been telling me for a while, you know. And, you know, we've been trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, like I said. And it's just, I don't know. He's really shown his true colors lately. And, you know, like I said, we never asked for all the money. You know, at the very least, the only thing we ever asked for was that, you know, we all be in a, you know, inclusive business relationship, you know what I mean? And that's it, you know, period. And other than that, I mean, I told him, why don't you just keep half the money? And if you really want to just, because, you know, he acted like he wanted to break ties and, you know, cut off from us and all this other stuff. So, you know, I threw that out there to him. So, you know, and then he said, well, the people trust me, so I'm going to hold on to the money until the fees are needed. Then he just starts stirring up trouble so he can break away, and he has an excuse to pocket all this, you know, 15 G's, whatever it is, you know. And you know, it's really not that clever of a plan. I mean, I don't know who the fuck he thinks he is, but it's I don't know, man. It's bullshit, really.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad because, you know,
It's really sad.
I wish he would have just.
A lot of people look up to Zach on YouTube, and you know, whatever, man. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I wish he would have just walked away. Just go, you know,
Well,
just
he
leave,
is now,
man.
but he's walking away with a fat pocket.
And you know,
He talks
we
all
wa-
about
we-
that, how his neighbor robbed his house. I mean, why did? I wonder if he ever thinks about the fact that why people do him wrong is because he makes a lot of enemies, you know. And now I can kind of understand why so many people don't like him on YouTube. And I never got it because, you know, I tried to always see the good in Zach, and so I chose to see the good in him. So that's what I saw. But I always never understood. Now I get why he has so many enemies. It's because of how childish he is and how you know, how greedy this fool is. He's extremely greedy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, he must be.
So they literally banned me from the website, and then they turned it into a flat earth platform. And I did tell people that everyone from all walks of the truth community were welcome, including flat earthers. But it was like, okay, because I didn't give you the remaining money, I'm now banned, and you're now promoting it as a flat earth website?
We were supposed to be on the same team, and all of a sudden, you come out and want to start deleting other people's accounts. Two or three different people's accounts you want to delete it within a few day period, and when you didn't get your way, you threw a damn temper tantrum. You know, apparently, I guess Zachary K. Hubbard has no part in All for Truth anymore, even though he didn't have much of a part in it to begin with, other than sending over a little bit of money and then pocketing the rest from the fundraiser. So, you know, I guess when you do fundraisers nowadays on YouTube, you use, you know, 10% of what you say. You know, you're gonna, you know, you use 10% of what you collect, and then the rest of it, I guess you just put it in your pocket or whatever the fuck you do with it. So
I mean, I made a big mistake in putting too much trust into people I really didn't know that well. But then for Ben to say that he's now persuaded by these people, what they did was totally messed up. I didn't do anything dishonest, and I was forthright when it happened. I said, well, here's exactly what happened. I said, yes, there is some remaining money that hasn't been used towards the project. But notice, I eventually got Free to Find Truth, and I wish it sucked that we lost the name All for Truth, because I still like that name the most. But eventually I launched Free to Find Truth and put a lot of money into that project, way more than the initial $18,000. In the course of the last 4 years, I've put about $100,000, and for people who want to complain and say that's not the best use of $100,000, I mean, you could have an argument there, but it is expensive to have a professional company run a website, and it has been good to have them because twice in the time we've had the site, it has been hacked and taken down, and the team's been able to get it back up and restore everything. So paying those services every month plus the cost of the website, that has not been cheap. And again, also developed the app, which wasn't inexpensive. And, you know, that's part of the reason I've made everything free, the apps, the ebooks, all of this. So, yeah, after talking to the All for Truth founders, I mean, those guys were totally like scam artists.
Ironic.
Punks being persuaded by them? What a joke. And then he's talking to Kathy. Oh, Kathy, who I sent 50 free copies of the book to, and then because she couldn't come to my house while her husband was on a hunting trip, then she throws me under the bus? Okay. All right, if these are the people you want to side with, go ahead, Ben. The Illusion. Oh, okay, The Illusion? You're seriously siding with The Illusion? The Illusion. The Illusion who learned from me and then who constantly uses my name to just use it as self-promotion. Oh, I learned from Zach and it only took me 1 month to get better at sports decoding. And then meanwhile, you talk to the people who have been on his platform and they said his picks aren't very good at all. And notice also he stopped putting out picks. So, okay, I guess you can side with him too. And you guys, the reason The Illusion is so scorned is because he asked me to make a video about semen retention and backup semen retention. And I thought, well, I mean, I'm not opposed to your semen retention ideas, but I'm not. Semen retention kind of feels like the thing they want right now with population decrease. So, and again, you know, the Illusion's another person who reached out to me, and he said that, you know, Zach, since I found Gematria, I haven't been able to sleep, and all I think about is the numbers, and, you know, I used to have a wife and a child, and you know, I've had to leave, and I now live in an apartment by myself, and what I gave him the advice to is I said, well, it sounds like you've gone overboard with this knowledge, and, you know, maybe it would be better to, you know, since you miss your wife and your child, maybe take a break from the research and try to rekindle the relationship. And at the time he said, thank you very much. He said, actually, I think that's what I needed to hear. And as far as I can tell, that didn't happen, because he still seems to be a guy all alone in a small room talking to himself through a screen. And in every video, he has to mention how much better he is at decoding than I am, where I mean, and he'll constantly bring up that Zach said that I could be the best decoder. Yeah, I've said that to a lot of people who show promise. I'm not saying, I mean, he is an intelligent guy, but again, it just makes me sad that Ben's like, okay, the people who ruined the website.
Actually, you did that.
And banned me, the guy whose idea it was from it. Kathy, who I did nothing wrong to, just said, sorry, you can't stay at my house. The Illusion, who I gave good advice to, and I think he's blaming me for the fallout with his relationship. You know, I never told anybody to give up on their wife and child and just focus on gematria all day. You can blame me if you want, but that's never my advice. I always talk about, like, I'm not the most balanced person, but I try to make time for Sweet Lady. I've been able to put out the work for a decade and preserve my relationship with Sweet Lady. So, anyway, his past actions with Derek. Okay, again, Derek. Part of the thing that rubbed me the wrong way about Derek is I spent a lot of time. I had a similar thing with Derek and Brother Berg, if you guys don't know who Brother Berg is. But I spent a lot of time taking their phone calls and teaching them gematria. They always had nonstop questions, and I gave them countless hours of time teaching them, helping them. And then once they got comfortable with the research, right away, once they started putting out work, then it was like they were putting me down and saying how much better they were. And just like, and at first when Derek was doing it, I just ignored it for the longest time, but it got annoying because he kept making in his videos saying, oh, Zach's work's too coincidental, and it's like easy to get things to add up to 33, so I'm not sure that actually death means 38. And I was like, okay, so he's like going against fundamental teachings. You know, I mean, I appreciate that Derek built the calculator, but and he, you know, he came out to Wisconsin at Marquette, and you know, even though we probably aren't super happy with each other, we were able to work together and, you know, talk to students at the campus. So again, I'll always try to work with everybody who I think ultimately means well. But yeah, there's a lot of things that Derek does that annoy me. And
the tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
And his recent updates to the calculator, changing the name of ciphers, changing the way numbers add up. I mean, there was no reason to do that, and those things aren't going to help build more credibility with the work. So, you know, I think a lot of the things that Derek does are damaging to what I'm trying to build.
It's always about you over everything else. Ego.
And I don't say what I'm trying to build, like, from an egotistical point of view. What I say, I mean is, you know, trying to build this knowledge and its relevance so people can see how consistent it is. And I don't try to break consistency, and there hasn't been a need to break consistency, because teaching it the way I have from day one, things continue to add up day after day. I'm not having to change it. If you watch Derek's work's always fluctuating, and now he's really into this cipher, and now he's into decoding this way, and now he's into connecting it to this, and now he's in, I mean, it's just like, it's like Derek's trying to find, and he said in his own words, he's like, well, I don't want to do it the same way Zach does. I want to have it my way. It's like, well, that's fine, but I don't think you need to be putting down what I'm doing to build up yourself. And then Arthur's the next name he puts there. And again, Arthur, you know, he came out to New York and did a great job as a speaker. but I can still tell that he has some of the same stuff going on, and it's the same thing. It's another ego thing. Arthur also wants to say that he's the greatest decoder. And, you know, I heard that the other night that Arthur put up a rant video going against me, but then he took it down, so I didn't even get to see it, and he's done that a number of times. But what did he get offended about this time? It was that I gave him some constructive criticism. And the criticism I gave him was real. I said, Arthur, you need to be more careful with your words, because a lot of times you'll say something at the beginning of a video, and I think you're misspeaking, but it's not true, and you're giving yourself or other people a reason to dismiss your entire presentation because your opening remarks are false. And again, some people cannot handle criticism.
Ironic.
Arthur is not good with criticism. And if anybody wants to say, I can't handle criticism, you'd be wrong. I handle criticism just fine as long as it's fair. Arthur, if you guys follow Arthur, he does that a lot. He says something that's completely false, and I'm just like, man. Okay, and then Ben said who he start to shit on again. And see, that right there, Ben, is just stupid, because I didn't shit on him. I just wrote exactly what I just said. I said, make sure you're not saying false statements and giving people a reason to dismiss the work. That's not shitting on somebody. That's called constructive criticism, you know?
It's not organized. It's all over the place. You got one guy saying this stuff. Now imagine if nobody sees your channel and they run into somebody like Call Me Kinfolk and they hear him and they're like, oh my God, this guy sounds dumb.
Yeah, but I cannot
Then they see
police.
your channel,
I can't
and then they
police.
just automatically dismiss you without even hearing anything that you say.
Yeah, but I can't.
You
I
have a lot of
can't.
videos
You're
that-
right.
You have a lot of videos that can wake a lot of people up, but with different people doing different things, it's kind of making it demonstrably unattractive.
Yeah, but I cannot police this entire community, because the minute I open my mouth, people call me a troublemaker and saying that, oh, Arthur is dissing, you know, Neil the hacker, or Arthur is dissing this guy, what's this guy name from New York, the other guy that I made a video about. The guy was stealing my work and then selling it for a higher price. Whatever the guy's name is.
Mr. Futures.
Yeah, Mr. Futures. Like I can't say anything, because the minute I say something, the whole community turns against me and looks at me like an enemy. I don't agree with a lot of bullshit that these people put out, and I don't agree with a lot of things that they do. But I have to just stay in my lane, because I don't want to cause diversity. That's why I don't say anything about that. I don't agree with cloning. I don't think somebody should look at my pics and then put it on their Patreon and not tell people where they got it from. I don't think people should be doing that. That's deception. That's stealing, and then that's wrong. But you know, I can't address everything, because then I look like a troublemaker. And I'm trying to really unite and do more of what happened on September 11th, where the community came together. I want more of that to happen. So I can't be making videos exposing everybody. I'll let Sports Gematria do that. I'll let him, you know, police the community.
And then he wrote, and earlier this year with Bart and Chigozie. What is going on with Ben? When did Chigozie and I ever have a problem? Bart went on a live stream after Chigozie said there was no problem, crying for Chigozie, when all I told Chigozie is be careful who you trust online. Chigozie didn't take any offense to it, but Bart took offense to him and then went on some tirade on a live stream. And it was annoying, because I had just given Bart my last copy of Number Games and wrote him a nice autograph in the book, and it literally was the last copy I had. And then for giving him the last copy of the book, next thing you know, he's just like creating unnecessary drama. Yeah, anyone who knows what Bart did earlier this year, it was a joke. And I could have been nicer when I called in, but to me, he was just acting like a little bitch, and I don't do well with that. I don't like when men act like little bitches.
and I don't care how you fucking explain it. You fucking shit on Jagosi today, okay? So, Zach, fuck you. Guys, fuck you, Zachary K. Hubbard, you motherfucker. Yes, you guys might hate me for doing that, for saying that, but Zach, we are here in your community that you created. We're here promoting your fucking work, your books, and you fucking call in and shit on the people that support you. Fuck you, Zachary K. Hubbard. Fuck you. And fuck this motherfucking hat. Go fuck yourself. Asshole. You are a fucking asshole.
So, anyway. But yeah, it's like, what are you writing here, Ben? Like, how did this happen? And earlier this year with Bart and Jagosi, there's been no problem with Jagosi and I. I just said, be careful about who you trust online. And then connecting dots in the past with Bartley Gerba. Okay, it's just like, reading this is just like, I'm just like, what in the world? For people who want to know the truth about Bartley Gerba.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Bartley Gerba got married to a Jewish woman, and then she divorced him. And then she created problems. So Bartley started reaching out to me and speaking out to me about this, and he thought he'd been played by the Jewish community. And the first time I met Bartley, he asked me to meet him in downtown Seattle in the middle of traffic, and I'm living north of Seattle in Bothell, Washington at the time. And he wanted me to meet him at a time that's like the dead of traffic, so it's about a 2-hour drive in traffic. And he said it'd mean a lot if I could meet him then. And I said, can we meet at a little bit different time? Because I said, it's going to take me 2 hours to get there. He said, really, that's the best time for me if you could please meet then. So I drive 2 hours through traffic for this guy. And when I got there, he didn't really even want to talk. I didn't say anything. I just like sat there and listened to the guy spill his heart out and everything going wrong in his life for about 3 hours, and bought him a couple cups of coffee or tea or whatever he was drinking and eating, you know, paid for his tab. And then if it was, I can't remember if it was a few days later, a week later, he said he wanted to come up near Bothell and he'd like to get lunch. So I took him out to lunch. I got the tab again. And when I took him out to eat, he kept ordering more and more food, you guys. He kept ordering more appetizers, more drinks, and dessert. I mean, he ran up a huge tab on me. And like days after that, then next thing I know, he's online trashing my name, writing all this shit about how I'm a shill and a disinformation agent and I didn't let him in my house. I was just like, okay, I did not let him in my house. He came to my door, and as soon as he came to the door, he's like, hey, you ready to go eat? I mean, I would have invited him in, but he was like, hey, you ready to go eat? And I was like, sure. So I just went right out the door with him and drove him down to the restaurant, and we ate. And then next thing I know, I've never had anybody make so many separate orders. And I don't do this stuff to people. If somebody's paying for me, I'm going to order the cheapest thing on the menu, and I'm going to drink water. And I'm not getting a bunch of appetizers and extra drinks and a dessert. That's what this guy did.
Bon appetit.
And then I was like, okay, he asked me to come meet him just the other day when I told him it's going to take me a long time to drive down there. I do it. Not to mention parking's in Seattle is expensive. He wanted to meet in an expensive area to pay like $20 in parking, sit there for 2 hours. And keep in mind too, for all of these people, I've done nice things for them. And then in return, they've been trash to me. So it's like, okay, you can be persuaded by all these people all you want, but these people are a collection of human trash.
Wow.
Okay. And then you're right, I concluded that he's not someone to be involved with. Okay, well, Ben, I'll tell you what, right now, you better work on your instincts. And hopefully someday there is a creator where you can talk with the Lord, and the Lord can show you the light of what actually happened, and you can see these characters who you've sided with and see who was right. Because I guarantee you, yours truly is right. There's not a single thing I just said that's false. All of those are factual stories.
Survey says...
Okay. The minute someone disagrees with him, he just goes off. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of people who've disagreed with me who I've had good conversations with. It's when people start attacking me falsely, that's when I go off. And I think a part of me always knew that because I found myself speaking somewhat carefully when I talked to him. Again, I'm having trouble, like, again, he's a younger guy, but I always told him, I was always very honest with this guy, and I always gave him good advice, and I said, you know, Ben, don't act like me because I'm a very immature person for my age. I said, you're very mature for your age, you're way ahead of your time. So, and again, I mean, I don't know why it's just, reading this is just like, oh my God, man, this kid too. And whenever he starts talking about stuff not related to gematria bullshit news, he sounds very off-putting. Well, that can also be true because I do rant about how shitty the world is, and I know a lot of people don't like it. Then again, other people do. You can't please everyone. Like when he told people who are feeling lost in the world that they should commit suicide. Now, please show me where that ever happened. Where did I ever tell people who are feeling lost in the world to commit suicide? Again, for all of you guys who think that nothing can be done and the world's just going to be evil and you're just going to do your best, I really think that I think if that's your position and your take on life, I really do mean this. Some people might be offended by this and think this is wrong, but I really do think if you believe that that's true, that we're fucked and nothing can be done and we've already lost and you're just doing your best and just looking out for yourself, I really think the best thing you could do for the world, honestly, is commit suicide.
What the fuck?
And I don't mean that as a joke or an insult. I mean that as a serious thing. Your outlook on life is fucking pathetic. And all you're doing with your pathetic little life and your pathetic beliefs is being a good slave for your meaningless life where there's no hope in it to keep up with Big Brother's tab so they can bring more evil into the world. So ultimately, if you killed yourself, you wouldn't be their tax slave anymore. That's why the most moral thing you can do is commit suicide, because you already gave up. Now, please show me where that ever happened. Where did I ever tell people who are feeling lost in the world to commit suicide? All you're doing with your pathetic little life and your pathetic beliefs is being a good slave for your meaningless life where there's no hope in it. That's why the most moral thing you can do is commit suicide, because you already gave up.
Gotcha, bitch.
And I know that my whole life I've been a good Samaritan. I've always looked out for other people before I looked out for myself. A lot of people know that about me. I know I have said that my trolls and the people who just hang around here and talk shit all the time, suicide's an option. I know that exact phrase came out of my mouth, and I'd say it again. The exception of Chigozie, Derek, Arthur, the rest of them, I would encourage them to commit suicide.
Wow.
And I know that my whole life I've been a good Samaritan. I've always looked out for other people before I looked out for myself. A lot of people know that about me. Kathy, I mean, you're a smoker. Fill up the sewer with your turds, we don't need you. So anyway, he writes, that's very low. I'll forever be thankful for finding his work and for meeting the people I have met because of his community and for being awake, especially for when the COVID narrative started, so I knew how to navigate through that, and for not investing my energy in things like pro sports. But I can't defend his personality anymore, and even if he did follow through with his declaration of buying land and hiring people,
he won't.
I wouldn't want to be a part of it after everything I've seen and experienced. Okay, so the thing about hiring people, I was going to hire somebody a few years back. And a few things happened when that happened. A bunch of people got hurt because they weren't the one that was going to be hired, which caused infighting immediately, and it caused some people who were good helpers to the community to abandon the community who've never come back. So I thought, oh, great. So use the money to hire someone right now. Instead, we're going to relaunch the community site, which is exactly what happened. And I said, the day that there's more support for this work and we can hire a team of people at once, that's what will happen. Well, the problem is the resources haven't really climbed since then.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
You cannot be serious.
It's enough to support the community website and, you know, do things like an occasional trip to a city. again, all of this stuff's been addressed in the past. And the future plan of getting land, that is something I still want to do, but what I am realizing is it is really hard to have a community because everybody's just so petty and bitter, and there's so much infighting and jealousy. Again, it's too bad he didn't come out, Ben, because I think you would have realized that, you know, I mean, there are good people in the community. Like, if you come out to Oklahoma City, New York, there were signs that there could be a community. People could work together, get along. But there are other people who are just, I don't know, that they would be ultimately hard to work with. So,
like yourself.
So the same goals still persist, but I do have my doubts about if we're ever just saying, what are you doing? You're not making sense. And I guess you're getting in the ear of people like Ben and taking good people out of the community. So a lot of my critics, the reason they always try to undermine me is because they are of Christianity and they don't like that I don't have the same exact spiritual beliefs as them. Again, to me, I'm all about Jesus' teaching of the golden rule. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. Yeah, and again, that is why I suggest suicide, because who cares if Kathy's gone? Her husband's not going to care. Again, to me, I'm all about Jesus' teaching of the golden rule. Treat other people the way you want to be treated.
Sure, Jan.
And I don't know what Kathy's doing besides ragging on probably the most important research going on the internet. So if anybody wants to call in and tell me I'm wrong for that too, for suggesting that suicide is the best option for these losers, I'm open to hearing why, but again, I feel that that's a true statement. I feel like there's this negative thing about suicide that shouldn't be there. Suicide has a place. If you have no purpose in this world, I think suicide is a great option.
Wow.
Is Saturday, September 28th, 2019. Posted a message yesterday. Mark, maybe you don't know him by the name Mark, but you definitely would know his voice if you heard it. Found out yesterday that he passed last weekend, and it's really tragic, and you know, it's hearsay what I heard, but supposedly he placed a big bet and he lost it, and it pushed him over the edge. Color?
Hey, Zach.
Hello?
Hey, Zach, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hey, do you think you've had anything to do with this guy's death? Do you feel any responsibility at all?
Well, you know, I can't take responsibility for his death. I mean...
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all.
But I do feel like maybe I could have done more, so... I know. I see you're calling from a...
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, I could have been more... I should have let him know just how great I thought he was. I wish I would have told him that before...
Do you think that would have saved him, or do you think these sports picks literally killed him because he was losing so much money?
So I know who you are. I know you're the troll that was going crazy in the comments. I recognize your voice.
What does it matter, bro? It's the truth. You contributed to this guy's death.
No. You're actually a really...
Yeah, you literally did.
Okay.
You literally contributed to the...
I'm going to hang up on him. That's if you guys ever wonder who Daily Sports Picks is, that's him right here. They're the deranged individual. But, no. We're helping a lot of people win every single day, and we put out winning information almost every single day. And Mark was actually doing well, too. And, he just made a mistake, so...
Suicide has a place. If you have no purpose in this world, I think suicide is a great option. Stop dragging down humanity with your bullshit. Stop wasting the world's resources. We see the power structures getting rid of people for this exact reason. Help solve the problem by getting rid of yourself. Again, Kathy, you're welcome to call in and tell me where I'm wrong.
That's all, folks.
Till next time, Truth Seeker.